Okay, well, welcome everyone. I think it is, sorry, real quick. It is 12, yes. Welcome to our webinar. This is the International Coach Federation's Orange County chapter, and my name is Nanor. I know you guys see on your screen it says Natalie, but Natalie is the president of the Orange County chapter, and she was not able to make it today. Just wanted to let everybody know that this webinar is being recorded. And let's see here. Also wanted to let you guys know that this webinar fulfills one CCEU of the core competencies. So you'll be receiving a certificate by email, as well as you'll be receiving a survey questionnaire along with the presentation of this webinar. So please take a few minutes out to fill out that survey. It's really important to us so that we know what it is that you want and how we can best serve you. Also, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat box. There's a little box somewhere in your Zoom video area, so just click on that and ask your questions there, and Marianna will be replying to you verbally. We cannot hear you, so it is on, your audio is turned off. Let's see here. Just to share a little bit about what's going on here at the Orange County ICF. Okay, if it works, I will share with you. Okay, here we go. This is the board at the Orange County chapter. Like I said, I'm Nanor, I'm the membership director, and we also have Ken here with us. He is also on the board, just newly joined, and Natalie will be making an announcement about that shortly. So welcome, Ken. And also wanted to let you guys know that we had an event coming up, but we did have to cancel it, unfortunately. There's just for some reasons, there's nothing tragic that occurred, but we did have to cancel the event. And if you did sign up, you will be receiving a notice about that shortly. And wanted to share with you guys, we have a new webinar that just started last month, and it's actually hosted by Ken. This was his genius idea to support new coaches. And it's almost like a mastermind type of webinar. They had one this month in the beginning, and I heard it was fantastic. Ken, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, just if you know a new coach or you are a new coach, it would be a great place for them to get their questions answered and talk about, sort of all those things that we deal with as new coaches. From the several panelists, me and a couple other board members who've been doing this for a while, me 9 years, and others who may be able to just help you on your journey. So that's what we're excited about, creating this and doing it on a regular basis so that new coaches can have a place to be. Okay? Perfect.
Thank you. Another thing we wanted to share with you all is that we have International Coaching Week coming up, and we are having a fantastic, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful live event. It's on May 17th. Please mark your calendars. The registration is not open yet, but it will be at the Avenue of the Arts. So if you guys came last time, it was really beautiful, brand new. And we are going to have a panel of experts come and do a discussion with us. It's basically seasoned coaches. They're going to share with us their favorite tools, their best practices, what's working, what doesn't, some of the challenges that they had faced going through the coaching process. We don't have everything dialed down yet, but just know that it's going to be worth your while. So please mark your calendars for that. And then also, you know, lots of social media options for you. Please like us, follow us, share, comment, all the things that you do on social media, tweet. So please join us there. And then here we go. So we are going to start with our presentation. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the bio on Marianna Lead. She is an MCC and is the founder and executive director of Goal Imagery Institute. It's an international school of coaching mastery. It's a provider of online, global, live, ICF approved and accredited coach training and mentoring programs that are affordable and comprehensive. Marianna co-designed the Competitive Advantages of Women in Leadership program at Columbia University and was the first expert to speak at the world-renowned Smithsonian Institution about coaching. She has designed a number of innovative courses at New York University, including her own goal imagery method, in addition to teaching their master's degree and coaching certificate programs. She's been an expert life coach for Fitness Magazine and has frequently been featured on national TV and radio. So without further ado, I'd like you to introduce you to Marianna, and she will take over from here. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So allow me just for a few seconds of, okay, so let me just do this and share my screen. And here we go. So ignore this for 1 second. And let me do this. And here we go. Okay, victory. We're all set. So I would like this to be an interactive discussion between myself and this group of coaches about holistic approach and what it means in coaching and specifically in mastery of coaching. So I would like to start by going over what we're going to do today. So you're going to learn about holistic qualities of ICF core competencies, the importance of addressing all aspects of who your client is while being in the moment, very important point, and how to avoid a common mistake that can affect your coaching performance. And I wonder how many people actually guess, maybe we can make it into a game, what that common mistake could possibly be. Of course, there's more than one, but there's this one that is pretty common. So let's start by asking ourselves, what is holistic? And I made it easy for all of us guys because I actually opened up a dictionary. I opened up a dictionary and here we are. Holistic means dealing with the whole of something or someone and not just a part. So just looking at this definition, I'd like to ask you what comes up for you in relationship to what you know about coaching and coaching mastery. In your point of view, how does it relate? Does everybody know how to unmute yourselves and how to mute yourselves?
Marianna, I believe everybody is muted for Ken. Do you know?
Yeah, everyone's muted, but anybody who wants to ask a question or reply, they do it in the chat box. So they click on chat, and then
so they can't like talk to me. They can't like, okay. So, all right, okay. So it kind of puts a hamper on our interactive activities. I don't know why. There's a choice to mute you guys. I'd like to hear your voices. So let's move on and see what does it mean to coaching and coaching mastery. So why is that not moving for me? Hold on. Just want to click on this. So according to ICF, we perceive our clients as whole, creative, and resourceful, right? I mean, this is the stipulation, and I actually use this as a litmus test for coaching. Because a lot of new coaches ask me, I'm not sure if I'm coaching or if I'm leaning towards therapy. How should I choose my client? I hear typing in the background. Can you guys make sure that everybody is muted, in fact, and not, I don't want to hear typing. Hold on 1 second. Oops, sorry. um, so, so, um, so I actually tell my students to ask ourselves, if we can view the client as whole, creative, and resourceful, then you can actually coach that person and it'll be an effective coaching engagement. But if you feel that you want to fix something or help someone in ways that they cannot help themselves, then the conclusion is you probably don't see them as a whole person, right? And then maybe that's not your type of a client. It doesn't mean that that person isn't good for coaching, but maybe not for you, because you have that feeling that they need help, right? And they can't function on their own completely and totally. So, I mean, this is a very, very important perspective that I feel defines coaching and defines the very energy that coaching brings, right? Because there is no other industry that I know of that doesn't really consult or tell people what to do or how to live their lives. But we come in a collaborative conversation with the client in complete and total mutual respect to, you know, to help them to help themselves, right? So this point that it's whole is a flagship of coaching. So if you have any questions or comments, then please use chat to let me hear your voices. So when we are talking about ICF core competencies, you know, you can find this throughout many of them, but some of them stand out more than others. So I literally took this from ICF's core competencies comparison table, and you have the link in your PDF. And I took it directly from icfcoachfederation.org website. And in the table, when you look at MCC level, and that's the only level I teach my students at, because why learn differently? Why not learn it at the level of mastery the right way from the very beginning? So if you look at that level, you will see in coaching presence that there must be the connection to whole of who client is, how the client learns, and what the client has to teach the coach. Now, you know, I would have loved to open up a short discussion about what that means to you guys. Because, you know, when you look at ICF core competencies, they appear to be very simple and straightforward. But a lot of it really depends on interpretation in terms of what do you actually do with it in a live, you know, a hands-on actual coaching session. I see some oops, now it just went away from me. Oops, and my screen keeps jumping. I'm sorry. I was trying to get to the chat. I saw two comments, but I couldn't get to them quickly enough to read them. So, Ken, would you mind looking and reading what are those comments are?
Yep, absolutely. So one comment was that the slides weren't advancing.
Yeah.
That's okay. And the next comment was just me sharing with everyone that everyone can chat here where I just chatted.
All right. Okay, great.
And that we can make it a little more interactive, and Nanor and I can help with just relaying things to you as we go too. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the connection is to whole of who client is. What does it really mean? It really means that we're going to look at what our client brings to the session, of course, but I really like this metaphor one of the coaches brought to me a while ago about a spider. I don't know if you heard of it, that a client is like a spider. So the web is an issue or issues. So the web of issues that the client brings, they all come from the spider. So that's the source. So no matter how much we're going to deal with the issues, they're not going to be really resolved one way or the other unless you really look at the spider because that's the source. So we know that everything comes from the prism of your experiences. Everything comes from the prism of who you are as a person on every level. So it doesn't really matter what the niche is that you're coaching in. It doesn't really make any difference what issue your client is bringing to your coaching session with them. The bottom line is going to be it's coming from their world of experience. It's coming from the prism of how they see that issue. And if you move that prism and angle it just a bit differently, the issue is going to look differently as well. So at an MCC level, we're talking about, and that's what I teach, we're talking about how to bring your point of view, how to bring your feedback, how to bring your insight fully to the client without leading them, without making suggestions. And that's a high skill, but it's definitely trainable skill, because a lot of coaches, we are told that we can't provide an opinion because then it's going to sound like a suggestion. And then there is this dilemma: how do you bring yourself fully? Which is again a quote from all of the ICF core competencies, to bring yourself fully to the coaching session. Well, how do you bring yourself fully if you feel like you're in a prison and you can't really say what you think? So there's definitely a way to be able to provide your full insight and provide your perspective. And that's what really clients pay us high money for, because otherwise they could just stand in front of the mirror and talk to themselves. They pay us for that insight so they could also see things maybe differently, and then see if it works for them or if it doesn't work for them, and understand if there is, how it resonates in their world. Or not, right? And then we allow them to take direction, because we bring that without attachment naturally. So dealing with whole of who client is involves different things. Oops, sorry. It brings a variety of different things. We're talking about spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical aspects of who your client is. And, there is this ongoing argument. Do we use brain-based coaching, and which is based in neuroscience, and therefore focus on someone's thinking? Do we use positive psychology coaching, and therefore use strength-based coaching, focusing on our clients' strengths? Do we use emotional intelligence and focus on how our clients perceive themselves and their surrounding environment, and how they move through all of that? Do we bring that? Or do we, let's say, talk about mind-body connection, which would be physical, right? And on and on and on. And what I teach is that all of the above is equally important, because we're not, and that's the holistic approach. That's a whole of who, right? Because your client isn't just spiritual aspect. Your client isn't just intellectual aspect or emotional aspect or physical aspect. It's all of the above and probably more, right? So whatever your client is, it's all of that. And how do we determine which technique to use at what times is going to be dictated by, number one, your intuition, and number two, and probably they're kind of in the same, it's not one or two, it's probably they're equally important. So intuition and being in the moment. And both intuition and being in the moment, they cannot happen unless you're really listening. So your listening skills must be at a really high level so that you could hear not just the words, but your client's emotions. And how do you do that, especially if you're doing coaching, let's say on the phone? Well, it's body language, and you can detect body language even through someone's voice when you don't even see them. So you can detect that from the pace of their breathing, the depth of their breathing, the frequency of their breathing. You can actually hear when someone smiles on the phone, right? We may not consciously be aware of that, but now I'm sure that you are when I say that, right? So we detect a lot of different things, even when we don't see a person. But when you see your client, then you get even more feedback. And you're going to hear some words are going to be more maybe emphasized than others. Well, then when I hear that, I always want to ask and reflect that to the client, saying, well, I heard this word was a bit more emphasized. What's up with that? Right? So I want to ask their feedback and explore that, because people do that subconsciously and they may not be aware that they actually did that. And when you bring it back to them, it really opens the door to a lot of much deeper type of exploration. And there's another thing that I want to talk about here is about a bit of a balance, right? So some people are very intellectual and they're really good at thinking things through. However, in order to make an intelligent decision, we really need our emotions and intellect to be in agreement, right? Because a lot of times, intellectually, all of the things that you look at may be of equal value. Like, for instance, you go to a restaurant and you look at let's say it's a really great restaurant, right? And you finally get there and you look at the menu and all of the dishes just look equally amazing. And how do you decide? So you go with a feeling, right? So that pattern is the same across. This is just an example, right? So you can have the same kind of a dilemma when intellectually you could make any of the choices, and you really have to understand what you're feeling in order to make the right choice, right? You could be dating a few different people, and what if they're all handsome and have great careers? So how do you choose who you're going to marry, for instance, or who do you date seriously, more seriously than than others? However it is that you decide, right? So I would actually ask. So I hear that. I understand your thinking here, and I wonder, what does your heart tell you, right? And this way we kind of bring it into balance, and we are acknowledging the intellectual part that was already been done, and we are bringing in the heart. And sometimes people it could be the opposite, right? Sometimes people will say to you, I really want to do this, I feel passionate about this, but I don't know, like, talking about coaching, right? I mean, a lot of new coaches come to me and say, I don't know, I really want to do this full time, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage if I become a coach, and all of these concerns. So this is, your heart tells you that you want to really do this full time, but your mind is giving you maybe different information. So then how do you balance that? So I think that it is really about having our clients seeing and recognizing the reality, and the fullness of their experience. And then making choices that are based on all of the aspects of their personality that are important to them, right? And that's how you bring in all aspects of who your clients are. And again, I mean, that's why it's kind of important to have a comprehensive training where you don't feel that you are scrambling for tools and techniques for either of these things, right? We have to be educated, and you have to feel confident to do any of the above. So let's keep going. Here. So one common mistake that is related to all of this, and I wanted to get to this, right? One common mistake that's related to all of this is coaching the issue and not coaching the client. And it's actually very, very seductive to start coaching the issue. It is especially seductive when the issue is relatable to you. So maybe it's relatable to your life experience or to your professional experience. You might consult on that topic. So it would be very, very seductive to get into the issue and start collecting information. And when I hear coaches who ask for information, like, so did you call? Did you make that phone call? And what did she say? And you know, when are you going to see this person? Whatever information that you may be asking, the only reason to ask for information is for you to start connecting your own dots. So instead of asking questions that ask for information that help you to figure out how to help your client, think about what questions you can ask to help them think it through, right? So if you were, like, for instance, if you were to step aside and look at this and embrace the reality that you are facing, what might you want to do? Or what are your thoughts now, right? And this is a very simple, reflective question, and it may feel like you're kind of not moving anywhere, but if you test me and kind of copy this and use it in your coaching sessions, I will be really curious to hear your responses, because you'll be surprised how it really opens up the door for your clients to explore deeper. And for some weird reason, us, you know, as human race, as human beings, we can't process things on our own. We really need that listening ear. We really need that person on the other side of a phone or on the other side of the table to ask you questions and to be eagerly and in curiosity waiting for your response. And that's when coaching magic happens. So of course, if you're going to be asking questions like, so I hear you, I hear your thoughts around this. And as you hear your own thoughts on this, what comes up for you now? You know, it sounds like a repetitive type of a question, but again, it allows your client to explore deeper. And we get to coach the client versus the issue. And another thing that I suggest to my students is to...
Hey, Marianna.
Yes, we have a question.
Somebody had a question about, they wanted to know what was the question that you were asking. So what, can you repeat the questions?
Right, so one, it's just an example. It's just an example, but one of the question is, so as you hear yourself say that, what comes up for you now? Right, so what I did just now, I'm opening the door for a client to reflect upon their own reflection. So that's why I said it may sound like we're kind of doing a dance in one spot, you know, like we're on a stationary bicycle, but it actually deepens conversation a lot without us having to meddle in. And the clients will step aside and will see a bigger picture and will contemplate deeper.
Great, thank you so much.
So yeah, let's see. I think it's jumping. I don't know why my computer is jumping. So, so what else can we talk about this in terms of focusing on the client? A lot of it has to do with awareness. So here's another quote from MCC level from that same ICF core competencies comparison table from core competency of creating awareness. So the coach's invitation to exploration precedes and is significantly greater than invitation to solution. So that's another thing, and it's really connected closely to coaching the issue versus coaching the client. So why do we usually kind of get seduced into coaching the issue? We get seduced into coaching the issue because coaches are eager to find the solution. Especially at ACC or PCC level, there is this almost apprehension of making sure that the client gets what they came for and more. However, that's not how you do it. It's really ironic, but it backfires. So, you know, fortunately or not, clients probably won't know the difference because they're not really educated about masterful coaching. So if you give them a solution and it's a good solution, they'll be just as happy as coming up to that solution on their own. But we all know that when clients come up to solution on their own, it's much more effective, it lasts longer, right? And that's what mastery of coaching is all about, right? So the difference is, do you want to give your client a fish, or do you want to teach them how to fish? So then later on they can apply this as a pattern and apply it to maybe other aspects of their lives, or maybe to other issues that they may have, right? So if we think about exploring, if we think about inviting our client to explore, then what really comes up for me is that aha moment that everyone talks about when they think about coaching. So if you think about the aha moment, that big insight that your client may have, we know that when that happens, all of a sudden, everything is resolved. So when your client has that an aha moment, all of a sudden they know exactly what they're going to do, and here's the solution. So if we spend more time on exploration and don't feel like we are pressed by time. Sometimes, you know, I do 15-minute coaching sessions, and in 15 minutes, people can explore enough to get to the solution. And it's really up to you as a coach to provide that thinking and feeling space, right? So if you feel that you're not rushed by time and you feel that you're not pushing towards a solution, then your clients are kind of going to get that energy from you, and they're going to feel that there is a space for them to think more and to feel deeper, and they're going to take advantage of that, and they're going to come up with amazing insights. So a question like I offered to you is one of those type of questions that you can be asking instead of asking for details, so that you could drive your client towards the solution. So the secret to this, there's a secret, there's always a secret, right? So the secret to this is to still be in charge of your time. So no matter how long your coaching session is, you look at the clock, and about 20% before the session time is up, 15-20% before session time is up, you bring it to your client's awareness and you check in by simply asking, so now that we are here, and here is wherever your client and you are in terms of exploring the topic. So considering where we are right now, how close or how far are we from finding your solution or from getting to the end result that you're looking to get with this coaching session, right? And this type of question, again, brings your client's accountability and your client's awareness to, oh, okay, we only have X amount of time left. Let me think it through. So here's what we did, here's what I did, and here's where I need to go. How can I bridge that gap? And your clients are beginning to actually think it through and sharing that with you. And then later, maybe 5 minutes later, you can use the same technique and check in again and say, okay, so now how close are we and where are we and what are your thoughts? And then the client kind of moves closer if they're not there yet. And then eventually they're going to say, well, hey, I know exactly what I want to do. I want to do this and this and this. And then all you need to do is to ask, what else might you want to do? And the who or what may support you going forward. And is it a good time for us to stop? And you're done, right? So everything can be done in a very smooth, experiential, way, with you providing insights and yet not leading the client, and completely and totally embracing the completeness of their being and getting them to pay attention to whatever aspects that they need to pay attention to. So I don't know how we're doing on time, actually. So this is the end of the presentation, but I don't know if we are at the end of it or not.
Hi. Okay, so yeah, we have about 20 minutes still. So
before Q&A, or that includes Q&A?
Oh, sorry, no, 10 minutes to Q&A. Sorry.
Okay, great. Okay, so are there any questions in the chat right now? No questions. Okay, well, so let's talk then about how do we decide what do we bring in terms of paying attention to who your client is fully, and how do we bring our insights to our client without leading them and without going into details. So I'm sure that you all have lots of questions that are quote unquote powerful questions. But I think that most of us do know that powerful questions that are out of context, they're just, the power is, swooped out of them. There is no power to questions unless they're asked in the moment. So what makes a powerful question powerful really is asking that question when we don't know the answer. If you know the answer to the question, it means that you need to provide your feedback versus ask a question. So that's another mistake that coaches do, and that creates leading your client, is when you know the answer that you want to hear and you kind of start pre-planning a few questions ahead in your own mind, and you plan, okay, I'm going to ask question A, then I'm going to ask question B, and then depending on answer, I'm going to ask a question C, and that's how I'm going to bring the client, full circle to whatever it is that you think is beneficial for them to think or feel. So instead of doing that, we need to use the core competency of direct communication and actually communicate what we feel and what we think without leading our client and without being attached to what we say, right? So ICF really thought of everything. The core competencies were created by masterful coaches, and they really took care to craft amazing core competencies that if you follow them, you will create an amazing foundation for your core coaching skills, that no matter who you're going to coach on whatever topic, they're always going to serve you well, and they're always going to serve your clients to get them through to explore all of the aspects of who they are and apply that to their issue, right? So if someone is exploring something in terms of future job or career, and it's a question mark, well, then maybe you want to ask them more about their vision. Maybe you want to ask them about their role models. Maybe you want to ask about their past experience. Maybe you want to ask them if they know what their strengths are, so that could utilize their strength in achieving that goal, right? So another saying that I use all the time is dig for gold, don't dig for rocks. So there's a lot of conversation about whether or not to look into the past. So I think that our past, our experiences really do inform who you are, as a person. But we're not digging for rocks. So I'm not going to be asking my clients, so how was your childhood? Or what experiences did you have as a teenager when you were growing up? I also really don't like when coaches ask, actually say, tell me more, because tell me more is a very ineffective way to approach anything. It's a very general thing. It's also directing your client to do something. It's, the language is directive versus specifically asking a powerful question that will bring specific exploration point to what your client wants to explore, right? So the answer to that is staying in the moment and really listening very, very deeply what your client says and what your client shares. And then ask specific questions about specific things that your client brings, but not from perspective of asking for more details, but from perspective of what they're thinking. So for instance, so I really appreciate you sharing this issue or this dilemma or this challenge. And I heard you say whatever word that they say, and I wonder, what does it mean to you, right? Like, for instance, someone says, I want to talk about creating stronger, better, clearer boundaries. What does it mean to you, right? So whenever we hear a concept, we want to know what that concept means to our client, because we're all going to be having different interpretations, and those interpretations are going to depend on their experiences and who they are, right? Now, going into past, if I'm going to ask about my client's past experience, I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going to ask about their childhood experiences in general or teenage years, but I'm going to ask, what have you done in the past that worked, that could be utilized when you look at issue that you're facing today? Now, that is extremely specific, and that is digging for gold, because I'm asking my client to look into the past, find something that worked, and now apply that perspective to what they're looking at right now. And people usually don't think that through like that on their own. So, I could be talking and teaching for a very, very long time. So I think that it's time to get to the last slide, right? Is it?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Sure.
Okay. So I wanted to offer you a lot of, and this is all in your PDF, and your chapter is going to share this PDF with you. So there are a lot of different ways for you to connect with me and to stay in touch. So I have ICF Coach Mentors and Mentees LinkedIn group. We have almost 9,000 members in that group, and we talk about what's important to all coaches in terms of skills mostly. So if you have a question, bring it to the group and join the group. Of course, it's free naturally. Now, those of you who are looking for either renewing your credentials, for coach training program to get your credential at any level, you know, ACC, BCC, MCC. I know that the process is extremely confusing, and there are very many different schools with very different approaches. So I worked very hard to create a chart. It is not, you know, it's not inclusive chart of all of schools, because again, we would be back to the same problem. This is a chart of schools that offer 100% online training, and I put as many as I could fit on one page. But what I did was I organized it in a way that you actually see how many courses do you have to take in order to get certified. Who, you know, who is teaching the course? Like, what credential level do they have themselves? How many people are in class? So all of the questions that you really want to ask a school, I created a chart that answers those questions. Now, what is the tuition? What does it really include? Because some tuitions include everything, and some hardly anything at all, right? So we need to be vigilant and find out. So those of you who are looking for training, it will save you a lot of time. And even if you don't find the school that you're curious about on the chart, I think it will inform you in terms of what questions to ask and what's important to know before you enroll in a training. It'll help you regardless. And of course, here's at the top, you see my email address. So if you want to get in touch with me, I do provide a free consultation about ICF credentialing, how to find the coach training that is right for you. I know that people who want to obtain credentialing, it's extremely confusing at times, and it seems more overwhelming than it should. So as an ICF assessor, I have to tell you that ICF really wants you to apply. You know, we want more good credentialed coaches, right? And we don't want to make it more difficult or more challenging, and before there were complaints that that wasn't explained enough on the website, and now we put a lot of details there, and now people complain that it's too much. It's too much detail there. So it's like it can't win. But again, not everybody likes to read small print. But everything is on that website. If you click on the experience link, everything is there. But if you're still confused, please email me, and I'll be more than happy to take your hand and walk you through what's needed and how to get it done. And it's really not as difficult or as challenging as you think it is. And if that's the only thing that's stopping you from actually applying, it shouldn't be. And that's it. And then the last thing you see about my programs. My institute offers all programs at ACSTH and ACTP level. I do accept credits from other training schools towards your ACTP program, towards your ACTP certificate. I personally teach all my classes, so you get MCC, ICF assessor at your service 24/7. And I offer really affordable tuition that's all-inclusive of $23.97. Okay, so that's it. I really appreciate you being here with me. I'm going to get back to your chapter.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Marianna. Does anybody please feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. If there's anything you're curious about, what did you enjoy? So I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that before we go. But Marianna, I have a question. I'm just curious for you, like when, you went through the same processes that we've done. I'm still at ACC level, Ken's at PCC. What was it for you that you think made the shift to go from a PCC to an MCC in your coaching? Like, what was that thing that really got you there, you think?
Yeah, well, it's a constant thirst for knowledge. It's a thirst for excellence. It's thirst for understanding what mastery is really about. I've hired many mentors, not just one. Took lots of different programs, and I opened up this group, ICF Coach Mentors and Mentees, just by me. There was like really no one else that I knew, and it grew over just a few years to over 9,000 people because I was asking questions that I wanted to hear answers to, and
Mm.
people were echoing my, my concerns, um, my, and wanted to talk with me about that. And I think that you learn through experiencing it and through checking in and saying, okay, this really does work better. So I think that um, the the most the most important thing that creates that switch from ACC, PCC thinking to an MCC thinking is exactly what you see in that comparison table. Is a switch from wanting to create a solution from for your client
Mm.
to sitting back, relaxing, being more of an observer and exploring with them versus doing something for them.
Got it.
And that takes practice.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ken, do you have any questions?
No, not at all. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the process that you took us through here today, Mariana, and
Great.
would love to hear other thoughts from anybody else out there. We're totally monitoring the chat box, so we're happy to. Well, there we go. We got somebody. Susan is asking, what do you recommend if you've asked a client several exploratory questions, but then hit a dead end, like they cannot come up with anything?
Yeah, actually, I just did this in my class today. So it really doesn't matter what your client is talking about. They can bring like for instance, we had a client who her daughter was just born and she was a colicky baby. So she comes to the coaching session and says, my baby is crying every single night. Well, as a coach, you want to help, but you're not going to stop a baby from crying. The baby is going to cry for another couple of months until it stops being colicky, right? So I can just bring the same example across any niche. So let's say a client has a really bad boss. The boss may not be bad, but you hate that boss. The client hates that boss. So unless the client quits, the boss stays. It's not going to change. So the client is going to be complaining about the situation over and over again. Nothing's changing. The boss is staying, right? So there's this constant thing that's staying. Or, we had another client who was complaining about not knowing how to deal with his aging father and seeing himself, because we all kind of become aware of our own mortality as we see our parents age. Well, so there's nothing I can do. His father is going to keep on aging, right? So uh, again, this is a very good example, actually. A question, and I'm glad that you brought it, because there's nothing better that can show the difference between PCC and MCC thinking than this. So at the PCC level, you try to push and push, and you try to ask questions to try to figure out how to, feel better about this, how to do, and then you feel so frustrated, you want to pull your hair out, and you just don't know what to do, and no one's happy. So at a masterful level, here's what you do. You sit back and you say, so great, your life sucks. Well, of course you don't say that, right? But you say, great, so here's the reality that is here. The reality is here, and here's your life. So looking back at your life, what are your thoughts? And what would you like to do about it? And even more so, what would you like to leave with at the end of this call that could be productive? Pick any of the above questions. Any of these questions, right, will turn the table to clients' accountability versus you sweating and running to the finish line and trying to figure something out. There's nothing to figure out. Calm down, lean back and ask them, well, okay, well, so this is your life. Who knows better than you, right? If you say that your life sucks, well, then it must suck. You know, right? Of
Yeah.
course,
Awesome.
I'm being tongue in cheek, but this is the whole point. Let them own it. Let them embrace what is, and then talk with you what they would like it to be and how they can adapt to it. Because sometimes you can't change certain things. Certain things are going to remain constant. So the only thing that you can change is your attitude towards them, and that's it.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. It was as if you were peeking into my coaching with my clients. Because, in with my training, oftentimes we do, especially as newbie coaches, we're looking at how we can fix the problem versus going in, and it's hard. It's hard to balance going between the two places, especially as a new coach, I think, because intellectually I know, but doing it and being it is something else. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for saying this, because this is actually what people say that separates my classes from other schools, because we have 100% hands-on. So people come in and you can't know these things because we're not taught this way. So I stop my students right in the middle and I say, okay, stop. What are you doing right now? What are you thinking? Tell me. Don't talk to your client right now. Stop for a second. Tell me, what are you thinking? And that's how you can really hash it out and understand what's happening and what you can do instead. Because unless you actually stop this in the moment as you're processing it, it's very, very difficult, and it's taking much, much longer to learn it, because it is very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we just have a couple of more minutes. Any other questions? Okay, I'm looking in the chat box. I think we're good. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Marianna. This was honestly exceptional. I can hear your passion and your authenticity in what you do. It's very, very real, and it's amazing work, you supporting us coaches to get to the level that you're at. I can definitely, I appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge. You're a natural at this, and it's a real gift that you got to be here, or we got to be here and hear you share with us. So we're definitely going to look into what it is, the classes that you offer. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone to please remember our live event in May 17th. Put it in your calendar, and look out for that email with the CCEU as well as the survey that's coming. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.